Hey guys, tonight we begin with a story that feels both like a fairy tale and a cautionary tale. It's a story about the invisible walls we build, the ones made of titles, bloodlines, and expectations. We're going to step into the worn-out leather shoes of a young woman whose life was destined for the soil, only to be thrust into a world of silk, silver, and silent suffering. This is the story of what happens when two worlds, separated by a chasm of social class, dare to collide. A story of a love that was perhaps doomed from the start. This is a peasant's daughter, a nobleman's wife, a tragedy in 3 winters. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. Imagine you are Ilara. Before all this, before the suffocating scent of beeswax candles and expensive, cloying perfumes, your world smelled of damp earth, of rain on hay, of wood smoke, and the warm, slightly sour smell of rising bread dough. You are 17, though you aren't entirely sure. Birthdays are a luxury for people with calendars and nothing better to do. For you, time is marked by harvests, by the first frost, and by the length of the shadows in the long summer evenings. Your home is a wattle and daub cottage, nestled in a small village that clings to the edge of a nobleman's vast estate. The walls are a mixture of woven lattice, clay, and straw, surprisingly cozy in the winter, surprisingly cool in the summer, and surprisingly prone to housing families of mice. The floor is packed earth, worn smooth by generations of feet. A single hearth dominates the one main room, its fire the heart of your family's existence. It is where your mother, Mab, cooks the endless pottage of barley and beans. It is where you and your 2 younger brothers huddle for warmth. It is where your father, Ronan, stares into the flames after a day of back-breaking labor in the Lord's fields, his silence as heavy as the smoke that sometimes fills the room. Your hands are not delicate. They are a map of your life. The calluses on your palms tell the story of the hoe, the sickle, and the heavy wooden bucket you haul from the village well each morning. The faint scars on your knuckles are from a stubborn goat, the needle slipping while mending your father's tunic, or the sharp edge of a stray stone in the fields. Your nails are permanently underlined with the dark crescent of rich soil. You don't think of them as ugly, you don't think of them at all. They are simply your hands. They work. That is their purpose. Life is a rhythm, a dance dictated by the sun and the seasons. In spring, it's the endless task of planting. Your back aches from bending over the furrows, dropping seeds one by one, your mind a blank slate of repetition. You feel the sun on your neck, the breeze carrying the scent of newly turned earth. In the summer, you weed and tend, your eyes always scanning the skies for the promise of rain, but not too much rain. In autumn, the harvest. This is a time of communal effort and frantic energy, a race against the coming cold. Everyone works from before dawn until after dusk, your muscles screaming in protest, fueled by the hope of a full storehouse for the winter. And winter is the time of waiting. The world outside is frozen and grey. The days are short, the nights achingly long. This is the season of mending clothes by the faint light of a tallow lamp, of storytelling, of hunger. The hunger is a quiet, constant companion, a dull ache in your belly that sharpens on the coldest nights. Some winters are harder than others. You remember the lean winter 3 years ago, when the grain ran out by February. You remember chewing on leather straps to trick your stomach, and the hollow look in your mother's eyes. But your life is not just hardship. There are moments of simple, profound joy. The feeling of the first warm sun of spring on your face after a long winter. the taste of a wild strawberry, a burst of unexpected sweetness found at the edge of the woods. The sound of a fiddle at the harvest festival, the dizziness of being spun around in a dance, your rough wool skirt flaring out around you. The shared laughter with the other village girls as you wash clothes by the river, your gossip as rhythmic as the beating of wet linen against the rocks. You are known for your quiet nature, but also for a certain stubbornness. When the Reeve, the Lord's overseer, tried to claim your family's only healthy chicken as part of an obscure tax, you stood your ground. You didn't shout. You just stood in the doorway, your arms crossed, and stared at him with your clear, grey eyes until he, a man twice your size and authority, grumbled and walked away. The village talked about it for weeks. It is during one of these moments, by the river, that everything begins to change. It's late autumn. The air has a crisp bite to it, and the leaves on the trees are a riot of gold and crimson. You are humming a tune your mother taught you, your hands plunged into the icy water, when you hear the sound of hooves. This is not the slow, plodding sound of a farmer's cart horse. This is the sharp, energetic beat of a well-shod destrier, a warhorse. You and the other girls fall silent, instinctively lowering your eyes. To look a nobleman directly in the eye is considered an act of defiance, of insolence. You can smell the expensive leather of his saddle and the clean, healthy scent of his horse even before you see him. He stops. You can feel his gaze on the top of your bowed head. A voice says. It is not unkind, but it holds an unmistakable authority. The one. Humming. Slowly, cautiously, you lift your head. And you see him. Lord Alaric. You know of Lord Alaric, of course. Everyone in the village does. He is the young lord of the manor, the owner of the land you till, the cottage you inhabit, the very air you breathe, or so it feels. He is a remote, almost mythical figure, seen only occasionally as a distant silhouette on horseback, inspecting his domain. He is spoken of in whispers, handsome, they say, but melancholic. His father, the old lord, was a harsh, unforgiving man. Alaric is different. But different, for a lord, is an unknown quantity, and the unknown is always dangerous. Now, he is not a silhouette. He is real, and he is looking at you. He is younger than you expected, perhaps only 5 or 6 years older than you. He has dark hair that curls slightly at the collar of his fine wool tunic, and eyes the color of the sky just before a storm. But what strikes you is not his handsomeness, or the richness of his clothes, or the magnificent black horse he rides. It is the expression on his face. It's a look of intense curiosity, almost of wonder, as if he has just discovered a rare and beautiful wildflower in a field of weeds. Your heart hammers against your ribs, a frantic bird trapped in a cage. Fear is your first instinct, the ingrained deference of your class. You have done something wrong. Was it the humming? Was your tune offensive? Your name, he says, his voice softer now. Elara, my lord, you whisper, your voice barely audible. Your cheeks are burning. He dismounts, a fluid movement of grace and strength that is utterly foreign to the clumsy, work-weary movements of the men in your village. He hands the reins to a squire who seems to have appeared out of thin air. Alaric takes a step closer. The other girls have subtly shuffled away, leaving you isolated, a specimen under examination. Elara, he repeats, tasting the name. It's a beautiful name. You say nothing. You don't know what to say. Compliments are not part of your vocabulary. Praise is reserved for a well-plowed field or a healthy lamb. "I heard you humming," he says. "I've never heard that tune before." "It's just a song, my lord. My mother taught it to me." "Sing it for me," he requests. It is a request, but it has the weight of a command. Hesitantly, your voice trembling at first, you sing. It's a simple, melancholic song about a girl who loses her love to the sea. As you sing, you forget your fear. The song is a part of you, as familiar as your own breath. When you finish, there is a silence broken only by the gurgling of the river and the rustle of the autumn leaves. Alaric is watching you, his expression unreadable. "You have a lovely voice," he says finally. Then, without another word, he turns, mounts his horse, and rides away, leaving you in a state of stunned silence. The other girls rush to you, their eyes wide with a mixture of excitement and terror. What did he want? He spoke to you. Are you in trouble? You cannot answer them. You are still feeling the ghost of his gaze, a gaze that saw you, Ilara, not just another peasant girl. It's a terrifying and exhilarating feeling. This is the first thread in a tapestry you cannot yet see. Over the next few weeks, the thread is pulled again and again. He happens to be riding by the fields where you are gleaning leftover wheat. He appears at the edge of the woods as you are gathering firewood. He never stays long. He asks you simple questions. About your family. About the village. About the songs you know. He speaks to you as an equal, a concept so alien it makes your head spin. He listens, truly listens, to your answers. And he brings you things. A perfect red apple, polished to a shine. A small ribbon of blue silk, the color of a summer sky. You hide these treasures in a loose stone in the cottage wall, your secret hoard of a world you were never meant to touch. Your parents are terrified. Stay away from him, Ilara, your father warns, his voice grim. Nothing good can come of a hawk noticing a sparrow. Your mother is more practical, her fear laced with a deep, weary sadness. Men like him, they take what they want, child. And when they are done, they discard it. He will ruin you. You know they are right. Every story, every piece of village wisdom, confirms their fears. And yet, you cannot help yourself. Alaric is not a hawk. He is gentle. He is sad. You see it in his eyes. There is a loneliness in him that resonates with a part of you that you didn't even know existed. You, who are always surrounded by family and village life, have never truly felt lonely. But you see it in him, the solitude of the man at the top of the hill, looking down on everyone else. You start to look forward to his appearances, a secret, dangerous warmth in your chest. You are living a double life. The dutiful, hard-working peasant's daughter by day, and the girl who talks to a lord in the twilight. You are playing with fire, and you know it, but the flames are beautiful. The first winter arrives, blanketing the world in white and locking you all indoors. The hunger returns, the familiar dull ache. The days are a monotony of grey light and shivering cold. You think of Alaric in his great stone keep, warmed by massive fireplaces, eating roasted meats and drinking spiced wine. The thought should make you bitter, but it doesn't. You just wonder if he is lonely. One evening, there is a knock on your cottage door. It is not the casual rap of a neighbor. It is a firm, authoritative knock. Your father opens it, his face a mask of suspicion. Standing in the swirling snow is Lord Alaric's squire, a boy older than you. He holds a large, covered basket. From Lord Alaric, the boy announces, his voice high and nervous. For the family of Ilara. He places the basket on the floor and is gone before your father can find his voice. Inside the basket is a small cured ham, a round of hard cheese, a loaf of fine white bread, and a bottle of wine. It is more luxury than your family has seen in a lifetime. Your brothers stare, their eyes wide with disbelief. Your mother weeps silently. Your father stares at the bounty, his jaw tight with a mixture of gratitude and wounded pride. We cannot accept this, he says, but his voice lacks conviction. Your brothers are already touching the bread, their faces etched with hunger. It is a gift, father, you say softly. It would be an insult to refuse. This is the unspoken truth. To refuse a gift from the Lord is to question his authority, an act of rebellion your family cannot afford. So, you eat. You eat the rich, salty ham and the sharp cheese. The white bread is like a cloud in your mouth after a lifetime of coarse, gritty barley bread. It tastes of kindness. It tastes of danger. A week later, Alaric himself comes to the village. This time, he is not on horseback. He walks, wrapped in a heavy fur-lined cloak, his boots crunching in the snow. He says he is inspecting the winter stores, but his eyes find you immediately. He draws you aside, near the old oak tree at the center of the village green, its bare branches like skeletal fingers against the gray sky. The villagers watch from their windows, their curiosity a palpable force. Was the gift acceptable? He asks, his breath misting in the cold air. It was generous, my lord. We thank you. It was nothing, he says, dismissing your gratitude. He looks at you, his gaze serious. Ilara, I cannot stop thinking about you. Your breath catches in your throat. This is it. This is the moment your mother warned you about. I am not my father, he continues, as if reading your mind. I do not see people as possessions. I see you. I see a strength and a light in you that I have never seen at court. He reaches out and, with a gloved finger, gently traces the line of your jaw. His touch is electric, a jolt of warmth in the freezing air. It is the most intimate gesture you have ever experienced. I want to marry you, he says. The world stops. The sound of the wind, the distant cry of a crow, the very beating of your own heart, it all ceases. The words are so preposterous, so impossible, they don't seem real. A peasant marrying a lord? It's not just unheard of, it's a violation of the natural order of things, like a river flowing uphill or the sun rising in the west. My lord, you stammer, pulling back. That is impossible. I am me. You are a you. I can make it possible, he says, his voice filled with a conviction that almost makes you believe him. I am the Lord here. My word is law. He tells you of his plan. A small, private ceremony. He speaks of a life where you will never be cold or hungry again. You will wear silk instead of wool. You will have servants. You will be his lady. It's a fairy tale. A dream. And every instinct, honed by generations of hardship, screams that it is a trap. But then you look into his eyes, and you see not a lord planning a conquest, but a man, lonely and earnest, offering you his heart. and against all reason, your own heart, a foolish, trusting thing, yearns to accept. You don't say yes. Not yet. But you don't say no. And in that silence, your fate is sealed. You have stepped off the path that was laid out for you at birth and are now wandering into a beautiful, terrifying forest from which there may be no return. The wedding is as he promised, small, secret, and unsettling. It takes place not in the grand chapel of the keep, but in a small, dusty side chapel, lit by a handful of candles. The priest is an old, nervous man whose hands tremble as he reads the rites. The only witnesses are Alaric's loyal squire and your parents. Your mother has been weeping for 3 days. Your father stands stiff and silent, his face like carved stone. He looks at you in your wedding dress, a simple gown of dark blue velvet that Alaric had made for you, as if you are a ghost. You are no longer his daughter in the way he understands. You are something other now. Something lost to him. Alaric holds your hand throughout the ceremony. His hand is warm and steady, a comforting anchor in a sea of strangeness. He slips a heavy gold ring onto your finger. It feels alien, a cold, heavy weight on a hand accustomed to the feel of wood and earth. When the priest declares you man and wife, Alaric lifts your veil and kisses you. His lips are soft. The kiss is gentle. But it feels less like the culmination of a romance and more like the sealing of a contract you don't fully understand. You are now Lady Alara. The title feels like a costume, ill-fitting and strange. Life inside the keep is a world away from your cottage. The cold is gone, replaced by a constant, oppressive heat from the enormous fireplaces that roar day and night. The hunger is gone, replaced by an endless parade of rich, complicated dishes, most of which you don't have the stomach for. The smells are different. The scent of damp earth is replaced by the cloying aroma of beeswax, incense, and the faint, dusty smell of ancient tapestries. The silence is the strangest thing of all. In the village, there was always sound, the crowing of the rooster, the chatter of neighbors, the cry of a baby, the rhythm of work. Here, in the cavernous stone halls of the keep, there is a profound, echoing silence, broken only by the whisper of servants' feet on the stone floors and the distant, formal clang of a bell. You are a prisoner in a gilded cage. You have your own chambers, larger than your entire cottage. The bed is piled high with furs and soft linen, so high you feel you might drown in it. A stern, older woman named Isolde is assigned to be your lady-in-waiting. Her job, you quickly realize, is not to be your companion, but your warden. Isolde is tasked with transforming you. A lady does not walk, she glides, she chides, as you instinctively take long, purposeful strides. A lady's hands are for embroidery, not for work. She tries to teach you to read, but the strange black squiggles on the parchment swim before your eyes. She tries to teach you needlepoint, but your fingers, strong and capable with a hoe, are clumsy and slow with the delicate needle. You prick your finger and stain the white linen with a drop of your peasant blood. Isolde sighs, a sound of profound disappointment. You are constantly being watched, judged. The servants whisper behind their hands as you pass. They see the way you hold your fork, the way you hesitate before speaking, the way your shoulders are hunched with a lifetime of deference. They don't see a lady. They see a curiosity. The Lord's pet. Alaric is your only solace. In the evenings, when the duties of the day are done, he comes to your chambers. With him, you can almost be yourself. He asks about your day with a genuine concern that touches you. You tell him about your struggles with Isolde, and he laughs. Pay her no mind, he says. She is a relic from my father's time. He holds your hand, the one with the calluses that refuse to fade, and says he loves it. These are the hands of an honest woman, he declares. In these moments, you believe him. You see the man you fell in love with, the gentle, sad-eyed lord who saw something special in a girl by the river. You cling to these moments like a drowning person clings to a piece of driftwood. But even with Alaric, there is a gulf. He talks of politics, of disputes with other lords, of matters of the court. His world is a web of alliances, betrayals, and ancient grudges. It is a language you do not speak. You listen, you nod, but you do not understand. You tell him of the things you miss, the taste of your mother's simple pottage, the feel of the sun on your neck, the easy laughter of the village girls. He listens, he nods, but he does not understand. How could he? He thinks he has saved you from a life of hardship. He has given you everything he believes a woman could want: comfort, security, status. He cannot comprehend that he has also taken everything that made you you. He has uprooted a wildflower from its native soil and planted it in a manicured garden, expecting it to flourish. He doesn't see that without the soil, the wind, and the rain that shaped it, the flower is beginning to wilt. You are allowed to see your family once a month. You ride to the village in a small, enclosed litter, a box on poles carried by 2 servants. You are no longer allowed to walk there. When you arrive, you feel like a foreigner. Your old friends look at you with a mixture of awe and resentment. They curtsy. They call you my lady. The easy camaraderie is gone, replaced by a stiff formality. Your mother fusses over you, but her eyes are full of worry. Your father is distant, his pride a wall between you. He cannot bring himself to be deferential to his own daughter, so he says very little at all. You bring them gifts, fine cloth, food from the keep's kitchens, but these gifts only seem to widen the chasm between your 2 worlds. You leave the village feeling more lonely than ever before. You belong neither here nor there. You are suspended between 2 worlds, a ghost in both. As the months wear on, the initial strangeness of the keep hardens into a permanent state of alienation. You learn the rhythms of your new life, but it never feels like your own. You learn to glide instead of walk. You learn to hold your hands in your lap. You learn to be silent during the long, formal meals in the great hall where Alaric's knights and retainers eat. They are polite to you, of course. You are their lord's wife. But their politeness is a thin veneer over a current of contempt. You hear the whispers when you pass. The peasant lady. Lord Alaric's folly. She still has dirt under her fingernails, I'd wager. The words are like tiny, poisoned darts. You pretend not to hear, your face a calm mask, but each one finds its mark. The most venomous whispers come from Alaric's aunt, Lady Serafina. She is the sister of Alaric's late father, a woman who has lived in the keep her entire life and sees it as her own personal kingdom. She is a hawk-faced woman with cold, intelligent eyes that miss nothing. From the moment you arrived, she has viewed you as an infestation. She never insults you directly. Her methods are far more subtle and far more cruel. She will compliment your dress in a tone that suggests you are a monkey dressed in silk. Such a lovely color, my dear. It does so much to brighten your complexion. She will ask you about your family, her questions dripping with condescending curiosity. And how is your dear father's field work? It must be so grounding. Her true target, however, is Alaric. She sees your marriage not just as a social embarrassment, but as a strategic disaster. Your father would turn in his grave, she tells him one evening in the great hall, her voice carrying clearly in the suddenly silent room. He spent his life forging alliances, strengthening our bloodline. And you throw it all away for a pretty face from a hovel. Alaric's face darkens. That is enough, aunt. Is it? She retorts, her voice like ice. Lord Renault's daughter was offered to you. An alliance with the Renault family would have secured our western border for a generation. Instead, you chose this. You have shown weakness, nephew. And our neighbors are wolves. They will smell it. You sit there, frozen, the food on your plate tasteless. You are the this. You are the weakness. You are the folly that is endangering the man you love. The shame is a physical thing, a hot, suffocating blanket. Later that night, in the privacy of your chambers, Alaric holds you and tells you to ignore her. She is a bitter old woman. Her time is past. This is our time. But you see the worry in his eyes. He knows she is right. Not about you, perhaps, but about the politics. His marriage to you has isolated him. His fellow noblemen, who might have been his allies, now see him as eccentric, unreliable. A man who does not respect the ancient rules of their class cannot be trusted. The invitations to hunts and tournaments from neighboring lords have dwindled. The pressure begins to wear on Alaric. He becomes more withdrawn, more prone to fits of melancholy. The easy laughter you once shared becomes a rarity. He spends more time with his steward, poring over maps and ledgers. He is trying to be the strong lord his father was, to prove his aunt and all the other doubters wrong. But his marriage to you, the very act he thought was a demonstration of his power and independence, has become his greatest vulnerability. And you are trapped. You want to help him, to support him, but you don't know how. You cannot advise him on matters of state. You cannot charm the wives of other lords at courtly gatherings, because you are never invited to them. Your very presence is a liability. The only thing you can do is be quiet, be unobtrusive, and try to be the lady they all want you to be. You spend hours with Isolde, forcing yourself to learn the embroidery, your fingers growing numb. You practice your reading until the letters stop swimming and begin to form words. You are trying to erase Ilara, the peasant girl, and become Lady Alaric. But it is like trying to carve a new face onto your own reflection. One day, a visiting merchant brings a troupe of performers to the keep. For one evening, the grim silence is broken by music, juggling, and storytelling. One of the stories is a well-known fable about a foolish crow who finds a peacock's feather and sticks it in his own tail, hoping to be accepted by the beautiful birds. The peacocks, of course, mock him and chase him away. And when he returns to his fellow crows, they too reject him for his vanity. The storyteller tells it with great humor, and the hall roars with laughter. You sit beside Alaric, a fixed smile on your face, feeling the blood drain from it. Every eye in the hall seems to be on you. You are the crow. This is your story. You have stuck a golden ring on your finger and a noble title to your name, and you belong nowhere. That night, for the first time, you weep in Alaric's arms. Not quiet, dignified tears, but great, racking sobs of despair. They hate me, you choke out. Everyone hates me. I have ruined you. Alaric holds you tightly, his own face filled with a pain and helplessness you have never seen before. No, Ilara. No. It is I who have ruined you. I took you from your world and forced you into mine. I was selfish. I was a fool. In that moment of shared misery, you are closer than ever. But it is the closeness of two people trapped in the same sinking boat. The fairy tale is over. The beautiful dream has become a waking nightmare. And outside the stone walls of the keep, the wind is beginning to howl. The second winter is coming. The second winter is colder than the first. A deep, bone-chilling cold that seems to seep through the thick stone walls of the keep. The snows come early and stay late, isolating the estate from the outside world. The news that trickles in is grim. Lord Renaud, the man whose daughter Alaric was supposed to marry, has been raiding farms along their shared border. He is testing Alaric's strength, prodding at the perceived weakness his marriage has created. Alaric is consumed by the threat. He is often in the armory, or in the bailey with his knights, drilling them relentlessly. The gentle, melancholic man you fell in love with is disappearing, replaced by a hard-eyed, anxious lord, his face etched with worry. The time he spends with you dwindles. The evenings in your chamber become shorter, his mind clearly elsewhere. The atmosphere in the keep grows tense. Food stores are carefully rationed. The servants whisper of war. Lady Seraphina's "I told you so" hangs in the air, unspoken but felt by everyone. She watches Alaric's struggles with a grim satisfaction, her predictions coming true. It is during this winter that you discover you are pregnant. For a moment, this news is a ray of sunshine in the bleak landscape of your life. A child. A part of you and a part of Alaric. A bridge between your two worlds. Surely, this will fix everything. A son, an heir, would solidify Alaric's lineage and silence the whispers. It would give you a purpose, a role in this cold stone fortress that is undeniably yours. You would be the mother of the future lord. When you tell Alaric, his reaction is not what you expect. There is a flash of joy in his eyes, yes, but it is quickly overshadowed by a wave of fear. He holds you, but his touch is hesitant. An heir, he murmurs, more to himself than to you. An heir changes everything. He becomes fiercely protective of you, but it is a suffocating, clinical sort of protection. Isolde is instructed to watch you constantly. Your diet is strictly monitored. You are no longer allowed to walk in the snowy courtyard for fresh air, it is deemed too risky. You feel less like an expectant mother and more like a prized broodmare, carrying precious cargo. Lady Seraphina's reaction is even more chilling. She says nothing to you, but you see the calculation in her eyes. An heir is a political tool. The question is, whose tool will it be? As your belly grows, so does your isolation. You are confined to your chambers for weeks on end. You watch the snow fall outside your window, a prisoner of your own body and of Alaric's fear. The loneliness is a physical presence, a cold weight in your chest. You miss your mother more than ever. You yearn for her practical, no-nonsense advice, her comforting presence. You send a message, begging for her to be allowed to visit. The request is denied. By Alaric. It is not safe, he says, his voice flat. The roads are treacherous. Besides, the castle midwife is the best in the region. You will have the finest care. He doesn't understand. You don't want the finest care. You want your mother. For the first time, you feel a flicker of resentment towards him. He sees a problem to be managed, the safe delivery of an heir. You see a terrifying, life-altering experience that you have to face alone, surrounded by strangers. The chasm between you widens. The cracks are appearing not just in your marriage, but in the foundations of Alaric's lordship. The raids from Lord Renaud grow bolder. A small, outlying village is burned. Alaric is forced to ride out with his knights to retaliate. He is gone for 2 weeks. It is the longest you have ever been apart, and the keep feels colder and more menacing than ever without him. Lady Seraphina seems to rule in his absence, her presence a constant, chilling reminder of your precarious position. When Alaric returns, he is changed. He is thinner, his face grimier, and there is a new hardness in his eyes. A hardness that frightens you. He has seen battle. He has killed men. The poet lord is well and truly gone, slain by the harsh realities of his world. He comes to your chamber that night, smelling of leather, sweat, and something metallic that you realize is blood. He tries to hold you, but you flinch from the violence that clings to him like a shroud. He sees the fear in your eyes and recoils as if struck. "You are afraid of me," he says, his voice hollow. "No, you lie, but the lie is transparent. You are afraid for him. You are afraid of what he is becoming. And you are afraid that in saving his lordship, he is losing himself. He doesn't press you. He simply turns and walks away, leaving you alone in the vast, cold bed. The silence he leaves behind is heavier than any you have ever known. That night, lying in the dark, you feel the baby kick for the first time. It is a flicker of life in a world that feels increasingly like a tomb. You place a hand on your belly and weep, not for joy, but for the child you are bringing into this broken, loveless world. The tragedy is no longer just yours and Alaric's. You are now passing it on to the next generation. The birth is long and difficult. The castle midwife is, as Alaric promised, competent and efficient, but her hands are rough, her voice impatient. Lady Seraphina and Isolde are there, their faces grim masks of concern that feels more like surveillance. You cry out for your mother, but she is miles away, in another universe. You cry out for Alaric, but he is not permitted in the birthing room. This is women's business. You are utterly alone. After hours of agonizing pain, your child is born. A daughter. When the midwife announces it, a sudden, profound silence falls over the room. You watch as Lady Seraphina's face, which had been tight with anticipation, collapses into a mask of pure, undisguised disappointment. A girl. Not an heir. Just another woman. Her eyes meet yours for a fleeting second, and in them, you see a flicker of something that looks almost like triumph. Your failure is her victory. But when they place the baby in your arms, none of that matters. She is so small, so perfect. She has a tuft of dark hair, like Alaric's, and she looks at you with wide, unfocused eyes. In that moment, a fierce, primal love floods your entire being, washing away the loneliness, the fear, the resentment. This is your daughter. She is yours. You name her Lyra. Alaric comes to see you later. He looks at the baby in your arms, and his smile is genuine, filled with a father's love. She's beautiful, Ilara. Just like her mother. He kisses your forehead, and for a moment, it feels like the old days. But the moment is fleeting. the reality of the situation soon settles in. A daughter does not solve their political problems. She cannot inherit the lordship. She is, in the cold calculus of their world, another strategic liability, a dowry to be paid, a political marriage to be arranged. The whispers in the keep do not cease, they merely change their tune. A daughter. After all that, the Lord's folly continues. You pour all of your frustrated love, your thwarted purpose, into Lyra. She is the center of your universe. You refuse to hand her over to a wet nurse, a decision that scandalizes the keep. You feed her yourself, you sing her the old songs your mother taught you, the lullabies of the village. In the quiet of your chambers, with Lyra in your arms, you can almost carve out a space of peace for yourself. But the outside world will not be kept at bay. Alaric is under more pressure than ever. Lord Renaud, emboldened by Alaric's failure to produce a male heir, presses his advantage. The border skirmishes are becoming a low-grade war. Alaric is forced to raise taxes to pay for more men-at-arms. The new taxes fall heavily on the villages. On your village. On your family. One day, your father appears at the keep, asking for an audience. This is unprecedented. He has never come here willingly. Alaric grants it, and you stand beside him as your father is shown into the great hall. He does not bow. He stands tall, his face a thundercloud of rage. My lord, he begins, his voice shaking with suppressed fury. The new tax. It is too much. You are bleeding us dry. My son, your wife's brother, has been conscripted into your Levi. You are taking our food and now you are taking our children to fight a war of your own making. Alaric's face is a cold mask. I am defending this land, Ronan. Your land. Your family. It is a lord's duty. And it is a vassal's duty to support him. Our only duty is to survive. Your father explodes, forgetting his place. This war only started because you defied the proper order of things. Because you brought her here. He points a trembling finger at you. The words strike you like a physical blow. You see the accusation not just in your father's eyes, but reflected in the eyes of every guard and servant in the hall. You are the cause of all this misery. The witch who bewitched the Lord and brought ruin upon the land. Enough! Alaric roars, his voice echoing in the hall. You will show respect to your lady. Guards, remove him. Your father doesn't struggle as the guards take his arms. He just looks at you, his eyes filled with a mixture of anger and a deep, bottomless sorrow. I have no daughter, he says, his voice a hoarse whisper. And then he is gone. You are left standing in the silent hall, the weight of his curse settling upon you. You look at Alaric, pleading with your eyes for him to understand, to comfort you. But he will not meet your gaze. He sees your father's outburst not as the cry of a desperate man, but as a challenge to his authority, a challenge made worse because it came from his wife's own family. He sees it as another layer of shame you have brought upon him. That night, for the first time since your wedding, you do not sleep in the same bed. He has a cot brought into his adjoining study, claiming he has work to do. But you know the truth. A wall has gone up between you, a wall of resentment and regret, too high to climb and too thick to break. You lie alone in the darkness, clutching your daughter, the only good thing to come from this disastrous union. The love story is over. Now, only the tragedy remains. The third winter is the cruelest of all. It is a winter of war, of famine, and of plague. The conflict with Lord Renault escalates into open warfare. Alaric is gone for most of the season, leading his men in a desperate campaign to defend his lands. The keep is left under the command of a skeleton crew and, unofficially, Lady Serafina. Her reign is one of fear and suspicion. She sees spies everywhere. Her gaze lingers on you, and you know she blames you for every setback, every man lost in battle. With most of the able-bodied men gone to war, the harvest was poor. Famine stalks the land. The villagers are starving. You hear stories, smuggled in by a sympathetic kitchen maid, of people eating dogs, cats, and the bark from trees. Your own family, you hear, is struggling terribly. You try to send them food from the keep stores, but Lady Serafina intercepts your order. Charity begins at home, my dear, she says, her smile thin and cruel. We must ensure our own fighting men are fed. Then the plague comes. The winter fever, they call it. It starts in the villages, carried on the back of malnutrition and despair, and soon it breaches the walls of the keep itself. People sicken quickly, dying in a matter of days. The halls, once merely silent, are now filled with the sound of coughing and the faint, sweet smell of death. Your entire existence narrows to a single, desperate focus, protecting Lyra. You bar the door to your chambers. You allow no one in but the one trusted maid who brings your food. You wash everything in boiled water and vinegar. You hold your daughter constantly, humming the old lullabies, trying to create a bubble of safety in a world that is falling apart. One day, your maid comes to the door, her face pale with terror. "My lady," she whispers through the wood. "It's your mother. She's at the gate. She's begging to see you." Your heart leaps and plummets at the same time. You rush to a high window that overlooks the main gate. And you see her. Your mother, Mab, looking impossibly small and frail, her clothes little more than rags. She is pleading with the guards, her voice lost in the wind. You run from your room, intending to go down and demand they let her in. But Lady Serafina is there, blocking the corridor as if she had been waiting for you. "I think not," she says, her voice devoid of all emotion. The fever is rampant in the village. To allow her in would be to risk the entire keep. It would risk your child. She uses your love for Lyra as a weapon against you. You are torn. Your duty as a daughter wars with your duty as a mother. "She's my mother," you cry, your voice raw with desperation. "She is a peasant from an infected village," Serafina counters. "And you are the lady of this keep. You must think of the greater good, not your sentimental attachments." You stand there, paralyzed by a hideous choice. And in your moment of hesitation, the choice is made for you. From the gatehouse below, there is a shout. You see the guards shove your mother back, roughly. She stumbles and falls in the muddy, half-frozen snow. She doesn't get up. You watch from the window, helpless, as she lies there for a long time before two villagers finally come and carry her away. You don't know if she is sick, or injured, or simply exhausted. You only know that you have failed her. You turned your back on your own mother. The peasant girl, Ilara, would have run out there without a second thought. But Lady Alaric, the woman in the gilded cage, did nothing. In trying to be what they wanted you to be, you have become a monster. A week later, word comes that your mother is dead. The fever took her. The news breaks something inside you. The last thread connecting you to your old life is severed. You don't cry. You feel nothing. A vast, cold emptiness opens up inside you. You retreat into yourself, into your room with Lyra, a ghost haunting her own life. Alaric returns at the end of winter. He has won. He defeated Lord Renaud, securing his borders and his lordship. But it is a hollow victory, won at a terrible cost. He has lost a third of his men. His lands are ravaged by famine and plague. And he returns to find a wife who is a stranger to him. He comes to you, his face weary and battle-scarred. He tells you of his victory, expecting you to be proud. You just look at him with empty eyes. Your mother. He begins, his voice filled with a clumsy sympathy. I am sorry, Ilara. Serafina told me what happened. She made the right decision. And with those words, the last ember of love you held for him dies. He is one of them. He understands their rules, their cold logic. He will never, ever understand you. Her name was Mab, you say, your voice flat and dead. And she was worth more than this entire castle and everyone in it. That night, you make your decision. You cannot live here anymore. You cannot be Lady Alaric. You cannot even be Ilara, for that girl is long dead. But you can be a mother. Under the cover of a moonless night, you do what you should have done long ago. You take your daughter. You wrap her in a heavy cloak. You take the single, precious thing you have from your new life, a small pouch of gold coins Alaric once gave you. And you leave. There is no grand escape. It is pathetically easy. The keep is still weary from war and sickness, the guards lax. You slip out a small postern gate in the kitchen garden, a gate you noticed months ago. The cold air hits you, a shock to your system. It feels real. It feels clean. You do not look back. You walk away from the stone fortress, from the title, from the silk dresses, from the man you once loved. You walk into the darkness, with no destination in mind, holding your child, the only piece of your shattered life that still has meaning. You are no longer a peasant's daughter. You are no longer a nobleman's wife. You are just a woman, walking down a dark road, into the heart of a winter that may never end. So, what is the meaning of this story? On the surface, it's a simple tragedy, a romance broken by the unyielding realities of class and prejudice. A story of a man who loved a woman but did not understand her, and a woman who was given a dream that turned into a prison. But perhaps it's also a story about identity. About how our sense of self is woven from the soil we come from, the people who raise us, the work we do. Ilara's tragedy wasn't just that she was a peasant who married a lord. It was that in doing so, she was asked to erase herself. She was told that her hands were wrong, her walk was wrong, her songs were wrong, her very essence was something to be corrected and refined. Alaric, for all his love, was the architect of this. He wasn't a villain in the traditional sense. He was, in his own way, a victim of the same rigid system. He loved Ilara for her authenticity, for the light she carried from her world, but the rules of his own world demanded that he extinguish that very light. He tried to possess the wildflower by ripping it from the ground, and in doing so, he killed the very thing he loved. And in the end, Ilara's final act is not one of weakness, but of profound strength. By walking away, she reclaims her agency. She rejects the gilded cage and the identity that was forced upon her. We don't know what happens to her and Lyra. The story ends on that cold, dark road. Perhaps they find a new life in a distant town. Perhaps they perish in the wilderness. But in that final act of walking into the unknown, she is, for the first time since that day by the river, truly free. She has lost everything, but she has found herself again, not as a lady, not as a peasant, but simply as a mother determined to write her own story, even if the final chapter is a mystery. It's a somber reminder that sometimes, the most romantic of gestures can be the most destructive, and that a cage, no matter how beautifully gilded, is still a cage.